Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right in a relationship? Giving, loving, showing up fully. And yet somehow he still doesn't treat you the way you know you deserve, like a queen. You're not alone. And here's the truth, that most people are too afraid to say men don't treat you like a queen because you haven't shown them how to. Now, before you click away, let me be clear. This isn't about playing games. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about activating the version of you that commands respect without saying a word. Because when you don't recognize your own worth, when you shrink to fit someone else's idea of lovable, you send a message, I'll take what I can get. And queens don't beg for crumbs. They sit at tables they built. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what shifts to make so that you no longer feel like you're chasing affection or earning love, but instead you're receiving it naturally, effortlessly, like the high-value woman you are becoming. If you're tired of settling, tired of feeling unseen, and ready to be adored, stay with me, because this is where everything starts to change. Let's get one thing straight. Being a high-value woman isn't about perfection, money, or how you look. It's not about designer bags, Instagram likes, or acting mysterious to manipulate someone into chasing you. That's surface level. The real blue, it starts deeper in how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and the silent standards you hold that speak louder than words ever could. A high-value woman doesn't chase. She attracts. Not because she's passive, but because her energy is so grounded and self-assured that people naturally lean in. She doesn't feel the need to prove her worth. She knows her value, and that alone sets her apart. When she walks into a room, she doesn't need to announce her presence. People feel it. Men don't love her because she makes their life easier. They love her because she inspires them to rise, to lead, to commit, to protect, and to pour into her. Why? Because she's selective, not in a superficial way, but in a soul-deep way. She values peace, emotional safety, and purposeful connection, and that means she doesn't entertain anything less. She doesn't over-explain her boundaries. She simply enforces them, gracefully, firmly, without guilt. When something doesn't align with her standards, she doesn't lash out or cling tighter. She lets go, because she trusts in her ability to attract something better, and that confidence is magnetic. She is emotionally intelligent. That means she can regulate her feelings without projecting them onto others. She can communicate with calm clarity rather than passive aggression or manipulation. And when conflict arises, because it always will, she doesn't aim to win, she aims to understand and to be understood. Now here's the part most women miss. A high-value woman doesn't just demand respect, she lives in a way that commands it. She respects herself in her choices, in the way she eats, speaks, dresses, invests her time, and who she gives her energy to. And that self-respect creates a ripple effect. Men feel it immediately. They sense the difference. They instinctively know, this is not someone I can play with, this is someone I need to rise for. She also has a life outside of any relationship. Her joy doesn't begin and end with a man. She's fulfilled, whether it's her purpose, her friends, her passions, or her solitude. She nurtures her world, and that makes her even more attractive. Because men aren't drawn to neediness, they're drawn to a woman who is whole, not waiting to be completed. A high-value woman also gives, but from overflow, not emptiness. She's nurturing, feminine, warm, but not at the cost of herself. She knows when to lean in and when to lean back. And perhaps most importantly, she knows that love is not earned through sacrifice. Love that is earned through over-giving, over-explaining, and over-performing is not love. It's approval-seeking. And she's not here to audition. This blueprint isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you truly are, before the world taught you to shrink, to please, to settle. It's about shedding the layers of conditioning that told you you're only valuable if someone chooses you. When in truth, the moment you choose yourself fully, fearlessly, everything changes. Men feel that shift, and suddenly, the ones who only wanted access to your softness without earning your heart, they fall away. And the ones who are ready to lead, to build, to love, they rise. Because higher value energy doesn't just attract love, it attracts alignment. And that's the blueprint, not a list of tactics, a transformation of energy, of identity, of belief. And once you embody it, there's no going back. There are things men will never say out loud, not because they're trying to be deceptive, but because they often don't know how to articulate what they really feel and respond to. These are the subtle behaviors, energies, and unspoken cues that instantly shift how a man sees you. And while they might never openly admit it, these are the things they deeply respect and even crave from a woman. Here's the first one. Men respect mystery, not secrecy. Mystery. Here's a difference. A woman who shares her soul slowly, intentionally, is infinitely more magnetic than someone who lays everything out on the table by the second date. It's not about being closed off, it's about being select. It's about making someone earn access to your inner world. Instead of handing it over out of fear, they'll leave if you don't. Men respect standards, real ones, not rules meant to control them, but standards that reflect how you honor yourself. When a woman makes it clear what she will and won't tolerate, not with drama or ultimatums, but with calm certainty, something powerful happens. A man subconsciously steps into leadership. If he's emotionally mature, he'll rise. If he's not, he'll retreat. Either way, your clarity filters out the wrong ones. Here's another secret. Men respect a woman who is not addicted to validation. The moment a woman seeks his constant reassurance, approval, or attention, a switch flips. It feels like pressure. It feels like a test he can never pass. But when a woman is grounded in who she is, when she feels good about herself, with or without his affirmation, he feels drawn in, because there's no performance, no audition, just energy he wants to be around. Then while we're on energy, here's something few women understand. Men can feel the difference between warmth and emotional labor. A warm woman is inviting, nurturing, safe. But the moment that warmth turns into a job, when she's trying to fix, teach, heal, or emotionally rescue him, the dynamic shifts. He stops seeing her as a partner and starts seeing her as a parent. And nothing kills desire fast. Men deeply respect emotional control. That doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being in tune with your emotions without letting them control your actions. A woman who can express herself honestly without exploding or collapsing is rare. When you speak from clarity instead of chaos, a man listens differently. You stop being a reactive woman and become someone who can't be ignored. Also, and this is big, men respect space. They don't always process emotions the way we do. Sometimes they need time to think, breathe, or decompress. A high-value woman doesn't panic when he pulls back a little. She doesn't chase. She doesn't text paragraphs. She leans back, knowing that a man who truly wants her always comes back. That patience shows confidence, and that confidence makes him pursue again. And here's one more secret. Men remember how they feel around you more than anything you say. You could be drop-dead gorgeous, witty, and wise, but if your energy is anxious, desperate, or chaotic, they'll start to pull away. But if your presence feels calm, grounded, and deeply feminine, you'll become unforgettable. None of these things require manipulation. They require awareness. Awareness of your own power and trust in your ability to walk away from anything less than what aligns with your worth. So while these are things men won't openly say, they'll always show you with their behavior. And when you embody what they deeply respect, not what they say they want, but what actually moves them, everything about the dynamic changes. You're no longer chasing, you're choosing. And trust me, they feel the difference. There's a lot of talk these days about feminine energy, how to activate it, how to live in it, how to attract with it. But what's often misunderstood is the difference between true feminine energy and what's commonly mistaken for it. Pick-me energy. The truth is, feminine energy is powerful. It's radiant, magnetic, intuitive, and receptive. It doesn't chase, beg, prove, or perform. It allows, it trusts, it draws in. But pick-me energy, that's something entirely different. It's subtle, but the energy behind it tells a very different story. I'll mold myself into whatever you want. Just please choose me. Feminine energy flows from confidence, while pick-me energy flows from lack. A woman in her feminine knows that she doesn't have to compete, compare, or contort herself to be seen. She embodies self-worth in silence. She doesn't need to convince anyone of her value because she lives it. The pick-me woman, on the other hand, is constantly in performance mode. She's overly agreeable. She minimizes her needs to avoid scaring him off. She overextends, over-explains, and over-invests, hoping that if she just gives a little more, does a little more, he'll finally see her. But instead of inspiring commitment, it triggers the opposite because it doesn't feel confident. It feels desperate. It doesn't feel magnetic. It feels needy. And men sense that instantly. The irony is that feminine energy isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg to be picked. It's soft, but it's not weak. It's gentle, but it's not passive. It's the kind of energy that makes a man slow down, pay attention, and want to earn access to it because it's rare, because it's rooted in inner peace, not performance. A woman in her feminine is responsive, not reactive. She allows a man to lead when it's appropriate, but she's not afraid to walk away when something doesn't align with her standards. She's not trying to be the chill girl who's okay with everything just to avoid conflict. She's grounded in her boundaries, and that calm confidence is unforgettable. Men don't respect pick-me energy. They may take advantage of it, entertain it, even keep it around for convenience, but they do not cherish it. Cherishing comes when a man sees a woman who knows who she is and refuses to settle for breadcrumbs. Feminine energy says, I am open to receiving, but I don't need to beg for it. That's what draws in devotion. True feminine energy isn't a strategy. It's a state of being. It's when you show up in your softness without losing your strength. When you give, but not at the cost of your dignity. When you're kind, but not a pushover. When you're emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent. That's the line. And when you stand on the right side of it, the way men engage with you shifts entirely. So if you've ever found yourself chasing, overthinking, or overfunctioning, pause. Ask yourself, am I standing in my feminine energy, or am I hoping to be picked? Because you were never meant to audition. You were meant to receive from a place of quiet power. And when you finally step into that power, it doesn't choose you out of convenience. He chooses you with intention. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood parts of dating and relationships: boundaries. Somewhere along the way, many women were taught that setting boundaries is mean too much or that it might scare a man away. But here's the truth. The right man is not repelled by your boundaries. He's attracted to them. Boundaries are not walls. They're not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your peace, your standards, and your self-worth. They say, this is how I expect to be treated, without you ever having to raise your voice. And contrary to the fear many women carry, boundaries don't push away healthy men. They actually draw them in, because healthy masculine men respect structure. They want to know where they stand. They're not confused by clarity. They're activated by it. The problem isn't setting the boundary. It's how you set it. If you're setting boundaries from fear, anger, or insecurity, they come off as threats or ultimatums. But when they're set from self-respect and calm certainty, they feel firm but graceful. You don't have to explain 10 times. You don't need to scream, beg, or convince. You just are clear, and that clarity is powerful. Here's the thing, a woman without boundaries might be easy to like at first. She's agreeable, low conflict, always available. But over time, that dynamic becomes unbalanced. She becomes resentful, he becomes complacent, and the relationship starts to decay. Because without boundaries, you invite behavior that drains your energy and chips away at your self-worth. But when you lovingly communicate your boundaries, I don't feel respected when you speak to me like that, or I'm not comfortable with this dynamic and I'd rather take space if it continues. You're teaching people how to value you. And the people who can't handle that, they eliminate themselves. And that's not a loss, that's a filter. Men don't fall in love with women who bend themselves into knots to please them. They fall in love with women who have a strong sense of identity. Boundaries are the foundation of that identity. They tell the world, I know what I deserve. I know what I offer, and I won't settle for anything less than alignment. The key is consistency. You can't set a boundary one day, then break it the next because you're afraid he'll walk away. That sends mixed signals. That tells him the boundary was a bluff. And from that point forward, your words lose power. A boundary only works when your actions match it. So no, boundaries aren't selfish. They're not harsh. They're healthy. And if someone pulls away because you have them, let them. Because a man who is truly ready for you will not be intimidated by your standards. He'll rise to meet them. And when you set those boundaries from love, not fear, they don't create distance. They create clarity. They don't repel the right man. They make him feel safe in your strength. If you want a man to respect you, it has to start with how you respect yourself. It sounds simple, but it's the foundation of everything. Because the way you see yourself silently teaches others how to treat you. And the truth is, you can't fake self-worth. You can dress it up, speak confidently, even memorize affirmations. But if you don't believe you're worthy, it will show in your energy, your choices, and your patterns. Self-worth isn't arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing you're enough without needing constant validation to prove it. And that kind of inner confidence is magnetic. It makes people stop and take notice. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you're comfortable in your own presence. Confidence doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to walk away from what doesn't serve you. It's showing up without over-explaining. It's trusting your intuition when something feels off. When you truly know your worth, you stop chasing, you stop settling, and you stop shrinking to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. One of the fastest ways to build confidence: keep the promises you make to yourself. Every time you say, I'll set that boundary, I won't go back to him, or I'm going to focus on my growth, and you actually follow through, you build trust with yourself, and self-trust is the engine of real confidence. Also, be mindful of your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself matters. If you're constantly criticizing your looks, doubting your decisions, or replaying your mistakes, you're chipping away at your own sense of value. Talk to yourself like someone you love, because if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, stop saying it to yourself. Another confidence killer: comparison. Social media will have you believing every other woman is living the perfect life, with the perfect man in the perfect body. But confidence doesn't come from outshining others. It comes from owning your uniqueness. What makes you different is what makes you powerful. Don't water yourself down to blend in. Remember, respect starts before the relationship. If you don't value your time, your peace, and your standards while you're single, you'll struggle to maintain them when someone enters your life. The way you treat yourself, in your routine, in your habits, in your thoughts, sets the tone. A man doesn't determine your worth, he reflects it. And here's the beautiful thing: when you operate from true self-worth, you won't need to demand respect. You'll attract it. People will feel it. They'll know you're not someone who tolerates being treated like an option. You're the woman who knows she's the prize. Not because someone told her so, but because she decided it for herself. So start there. Start with the mirror. Start with the way you talk to yourself. Start with honoring your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable. That's where respect begins. And when it starts from within, it lasts. No matter who's watching, there is one mindset shift that once you truly embody it, will change the way you move through love, dating, and life in general. And it's this: I am the chooser, not the chosen. Let that sink in. Because for so many women, especially those who've been conditioned to equate their worth with whether or not a man chooses them, this idea feels radical. But the moment you stop seeing yourself as someone waiting to be picked, and instead begin to see yourself as someone who chooses what's aligned, everything changes. This mindset shift moves you from scarcity to abundance. It stops you from begging, proving, performing, and pleasing, and places you back in your power. When you operate from "I hope he picks me," you're unconsciously handing over control of your emotional value. You begin to shape-shift, second-guess, and accept treatment that falls far below what you truly want. But when you see yourself as the chooser, you begin to evaluate instead of chase. This shift doesn't make you cold or arrogant. It makes you intentional. You stop asking, "What do I need to be for him to like me?" and start asking, "Is this man even worthy of access to my heart, my body, my energy?" It reverses the dynamic, it recenters your power, and it rewires your relationship with yourself. From this mindset, Rejection no longer feels like failure. It feels like redirection. You no longer spiral when someone pulls away, because you understand if they couldn't see your value, they were never aligned to begin with. Your identity isn't shaken when something doesn't work out, because your worth isn't up for negotiation. This shift also creates emotional peace. When you see yourself as the chooser, you're not anxiously decoding mixed signals, waiting by the phone, or asking friends, "What do you think he meant by that?" You're watching patterns, you're observing behavior, you're making decisions that honor your standards, not your fears. The most beautiful part, this mindset doesn't just affect dating, it affects how you show up everywhere, at work, with friends, in your boundaries, in your body. You begin to walk into rooms with a quiet certainty. You no longer feel the need to impress everyone. You become selective, and in that selectiveness, you become magnetic. Because here's the truth, a man can only respect you at the level you respect you. And when you carry yourself like the prize, not in ego, but in embodied worth, the entire dynamic shifts. You stop asking, "Why doesn't he want me?" and start asking, "Why would I entertain something that doesn't reflect what I desire?" That's the mindset shift. It's not about being hard, closed off, or unattainable. It's about being centered in who you are, so deeply that anyone who comes into your life either aligns with that energy or they fall away on their own. You don't beg, you don't chase, you don't shrink, you choose, and that changes everything. If you've ever wondered why some women are effortlessly adored, prioritized, and treated like royalty, while others constantly feel like they're begging for basic respect, it's not luck, it's not manipulation, it's a formula. And when you understand it, everything changes. This is the royal treatment formula. And yes, there's a method behind the magic. It's not about acting like a diva or demanding luxury. It's about how you carry yourself, how you respond, and what you allow. It starts with one powerful principle. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. Step 1, self-adoration. You set the tone before you expect anyone else to treat you like a queen. You have to show them how it's done, by how you treat you. That means honoring your body, your time, your boundaries, and your needs. You don't cancel your life for a maybe. You don't chase texts. You don't shrink to be more palatable. You walk like you know your worth, because when you hold yourself like royalty, others instinctively follow. Step 2, grace with standards. A queen is not rude, loud, or confrontational, but she is unshakably clear. You don't need to throw a tantrum or issue ultimatums. Your energy says it all. This is what I expect. This is what I allow. Anything less is simply not for me. That calm confidence is irresistible. It's not about making demands. It's about being a woman who commands respect. Step 3, emotional elegance. A queen doesn't overreact. She doesn't let other people's chaos dictate her mood. When something triggers you, and it will, you pause, reflect, and respond from power, not panic. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's sovereignty. And when you show you can stay grounded under pressure, you become someone a man can admire, trust, and rise for. Step 4, selectivity. The royal treatment isn't given to everyone, and neither is your energy. You're not out here trying to convince someone why they should value you. You're observing, filtering, and deciding who earns the privilege of your softness, your loyalty, your time. Queens don't beg for seats at tables, they build their own, and only the deserving are invited. Step 5, receptivity. This is key. So many women operate in their masculine, constantly doing, fixing, initiating, because they don't trust. They can simply receive. But the royal treatment requires surrender. It requires you to believe that you are worthy of effort, consistency, and intentional love, and then allow it in. You lean back, not out of laziness, but out of confidence that what is meant for you doesn't need to be chased. This formula isn't about being difficult. It's about being undeniably valuable. When you live it, not just speak it, men feel the shift. They rise, they pursue, they choose you with intention. Because a man might like a girl who's easy, flexible, and always available. but he will respect and commit to the woman who moves like a queen. If you've made it this far, take a moment and let that sink in. You showed up for yourself today. You chose to listen, to learn, and to grow. And that alone already makes you different from most. Because the truth is, many people say they want love, respect, and commitment. But very few are willing to do the inner work to become the version of themselves who naturally attracts it. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to be cool about disrespect. You don't need to keep shrinking yourself just to make someone else feel comfortable. Real love doesn't ask you to dim your light. It celebrates it. And if no one has told you lately, let me say this loud and clear. You are already enough. Not once you lose weight. Not once you have the perfect relationship. Not once you fix all your flaws. Right now, as you are, the more you truly own that, the less you'll tolerate anything that doesn't reflect it. Because the most powerful shift you can make is not external, it's internal. When you change the way you see yourself, the way the world responds to you will never be the same. You'll stop attracting lessons and start attracting love. Not because you've manipulated the outcome, but because you've aligned with your truth. You'll stop falling for potential and start choosing patterns. You'll stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking, is this person even emotionally available for what I desire? That shift alone can save you years of heartbreak. Because when you carry that kind of energy, love doesn't run from you. It finds you. So this isn't the end of the video. It's the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you no longer tolerate the bare minimum. A chapter where you stop settling. A chapter where you finally unapologetically decide to be loved like the queen you are. And the moment you do that, your entire love life will never be the same. The only thing standing between you and the love life you dream of is the courage to show up as your highest self. It's time to let go of the fear, the doubts, the beliefs that have been holding you back. You were never meant to play small or shrink in the presence of others. You were meant to shine, to love yourself fiercely, and to attract people who see you for exactly who you are. A woman who knows her worth. So starting right now, make the commitment to stop accepting less than you deserve. Every time you honor your boundaries, every time you trust your intuition, every time you choose yourself over toxic patterns, you are stepping into your true power. This isn't just about dating. It's about creating a life where you are treated with respect, love, and admiration. Because you treat yourself that way first. Remember, the world will meet you at the level you meet yourself. So step into your confidence, trust your value, and remember, you don't have to chase love. You are the prize, and the right people will rise to meet you at that level. It's time to embrace your power and start attracting the life and love you've always deserved. The journey starts now.